Welcome to SNN Live. We're broadcasting live from our studios in Los Angeles, California. And I'm Robert Kraft, and on today's program we have David Brody. He is the founder and chairman of XTI Aircraft Company. It's a private company. David, welcome to SNN Live.
Great to be here, Robert.
It's great to have you. So let's start with an overview of XTI.
Yeah, XTI Aircraft Company, based in Denver, Colorado, is developing the world's first commercial vertical takeoff airplane. And just to elaborate on that a little bit, this is not just an airplane that will go a little faster or a little farther. It's a 6-seat aircraft that has the speed, range, and comfort of a business jet, but will be able to take off and land like a helicopter.
Okay, so I've been on the website, I've watched a few of the videos, and it looks really cool. You know, but I got to know a little bit of the history about it. You know, where did this idea come from? Who dreamt this up?
Well, as you've seen on the website of XTI Aircraft Company, this aircraft has 2 ducted fans in the wings and then a rear fan. So it's called the Tri-Fan 600 for the 3 fans. And the wing fans are placed in vertical takeoff and landing configuration that is flat for vertical takeoff and landing, and then rotate forward for forward speed once it gets in the air. And then, as I said, it's like a business jet. It has the speed, range, and comfort of a business jet. So the ducted fan concept actually goes back to military programs in the 50s and 60s when the Army was testing airplanes with ducted fans as both the vertical takeoff and landing equipment and component and forward propulsion for use as forward propulsion. But at that time, 60 years ago, the jet engines were not as advanced as they are now. There were not carbon fiber materials, and of course computer technology that allows you to control and stabilize the aircraft was not invented yet. So now we're using basically proven components in a revolutionary way to be able to bring this idea to reality. The technology has now caught up with the idea that's over 100 years old of combining vertical takeoff and landing with an airplane.
And is the technology currently patented, or is it more of a design patent?
We do have 1 patent, and we have others pending.
What I'm also curious about is, you know, where was this need for something like this? When did the idea pop in your head where you said, okay, this is what's currently available out there, but this is something that people are currently yearning for in this space. So how is it that XTI is solving that problem? And what is the problem?
Yeah, the problem is how to save people hours and hours traveling to and from airports, because you don't need an airport or runway with the Tri-Fan 600. The whole idea is that it will be able to be used on any paved surface where it's safe and legal, on one of the on the 3,200 helipads that are in the country now, just in the U.S., and of course many other locations where golf courses, job sites. And so if you have, for example, a landing pad outside the back door of this office, and you have a destination that has a helipad or other paved surface, you'd be able to save hours going to and from airports. And that is the need. We've done many market surveys. There's a tremendous demand for this kind of aircraft.
And how big is this potential market that you're going after? And to that also, maybe some of the target markets you're also going after.
Well, the corporate executive market is the first and most obvious market that we have identified. People who have business jets or have a helicopter and a business jet, they won't need 2 aircraft. And so that's the primary market. We're estimating, based on extensive market surveys, 40 to 100 aircraft a year, units a year. And then, of course, the medevac. Just think how much time this will save for medical emergencies, medevac, rescue operations, and transporting human organs from one hospital to another. It'll save a tremendous amount of time because you won't have to transfer from the jet to a helicopter to the airport and vice versa. You can go door to door, point to point in the Tri-Fan 600.
Actually, that leads into my next question as to the amount of the length of ride you can actually take on the plane. From what I understand, when I went through the website, with a helicopter, you have to stop before, and then you had the Flagstaff map where from LA to Flagstaff, where they had to stop a certain amount halfway to refuel and then go to Flagstaff. So, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Just to put it in context, the average helicopter goes about 120 miles an hour and has a range of about 300 miles. Compared to a typical business jet, and of course there are many different sizes and passengers that can be in a business jet, but we have a 6-seat aircraft that will go 3 times the speed of a helicopter, 3 times the range. So 400 miles an hour up to about 1,800 mile range, depending on what the payload is. If it's full, if the fuel tanks are full, what the cargo is, and of course you're going in the speed, range, and comfort of a business jet also.
Okay, so we have the concept down, we have the market. So I think our audience at this point probably has an idea of of the aircraft itself and where the company wants to be and where it's going. So what I want to know is right now, where's the company currently at?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we started this project 3 years ago. When I brought together an engineering team led by Dr. Dennis Olcott, who has a lot of experience in bringing new and innovative aircraft to market. He was the chief engineer for the Piper Jet program and other aircraft programs, and we looked at many different configurations for a vertical takeoff airplane, and then settled on the Trifan 600 configuration as the optimum, with the best performance potential and capability. And we have done a significant amount of engineering, completed completed the conceptual engineering. We're now into preliminary engineering, and we are beginning to work on our first prototype, which will be flown in 2 to 3 years from now.
Okay, so we're in the pre-prototype mode at this moment. And one of the reasons you came on today that we wanted to do this interview is you guys are in the process of raising money in order to make this happen. So let's elaborate on that. Tell me some of the use of proceeds so that you can get there to where you want to be 2 to 3 years from now.
Yes, we are in the middle of a Regulation A+ equity crowdfunding effort that is hosted on the Start Engine platform. So if people want to view that and invest in the company, unaccredited and accredited investors can get on the Start Engine XTI website, choose Invest Now, and actually become a part of this revolution in flight. We also have other financings that we're working on simultaneously. In January, we got SEC qualification for the Reg A Plus offering. On January 21, we announced, you can see on the website on the media portion, that we announced that we had $20.6 million in non-binding expressions of interest at that time. And now we're in the process of converting those into actual investments. And so that's the main focus of our financing now. Those funds raised in the Reg A Plus equity crowdfunding plus the other financings will be applied to this prototype that we're going to build and fly and test in a couple of years.
By the way, as we've been discussing, and you're in the process of raising capital for the company, you're doing it in a relatively new way that's now available for companies like XTI. So can you comment about Reg A Plus and why you guys decided to go this route?
Sure. We're a very innovative company with a very innovative product. And when the regulations for Reg A Plus became effective last year, we decided to look into it, and it really seemed to fit our company in the sense that it provides the opportunity for both accredited and unaccredited investors to get involved, participate, and invest in XTI Aircraft Company. And this is a rare opportunity for somebody to be able to get involved on the ground floor in a game-changing product in an aerospace company. It's really the first time probably in history to enable people to do that. And one other aspect of this that's we think very intriguing and interesting is that, as we announced earlier this year, we're going to be establishing a secondary market, an over-the-counter market where people will be able to trade their shares that they receive for an investment on the Reg A Plus, in the Reg A Plus process. They'll have liquidity on the secondary market, no different from anyone who owns shares in the 10,000 or so other companies that trade over the counter in the U.S.
And so for our audience that they want to know who's running the ship here, what's your background and maybe a little bit about the leadership team as well?
Sure. I have been heavily involved in aviation for over 10 years. I formed a company called AVX Aircraft Company when I invented a new type of helicopter, and AVX is operating in Fort Worth, Texas, run by former Bell Helicopter executives and experts in the helicopter industry. Fort Worth is the headquarters, the center of the helicopter industry in the country. And that new helicopter had ducted fans for rear propulsion and directional control. And after several years, I started thinking about how those ducted fans could be used for vertical takeoff and landing, not just propulsion, forward propulsion, like a propeller. And that led to, as I said 3 years ago, the formation of XTI, which is unrelated to AVX except for my involvement in both companies. Mm-hmm. So that's my main background in aviation. Then our CEO is Charlie Johnson, who was the former president and COO of Cessna Aircraft for many, many years. One of the most respected executives in the aircraft industry, who has gone through many new and innovative aircraft programs and brought many aircraft to through FAA certification. Okay. And just to finish that, Dennis Olcott, our chief engineer, mm-hmm. who I mentioned before, is a core member of the team.
Okay, so actually I have two more questions on the aircraft itself.
Yes.
Once you get the prototype up, on the FAA side, is there going to be a training program involved for the pilots of the aircraft? And what's your relationship with the FAA once the prototype is complete?
Sure. There will be a special pilot certification that combines capabilities of both vertical takeoff and landing, like a helicopter pilot certification, and fixed wing. And also importantly, the FAA already has a category to certify our aircraft. It's called powered lift. And so it's not like we are reinventing or asking the FAA to invent or establish a new category. It's there, and that will be the certification basis for the vertical takeoff airplane, the Trifan 600.
And how much are you looking to sell these aircraft for?
This aircraft will sell between $10 and $12 million a piece, which is very competitive with comparable business jets. But of course, in one sense, nothing compares to this aircraft because there is no vertical takeoff commercial aircraft available, and people pay for convenience. And so we are very confident that the market is there globally and in the U.S.
What I want to know is, going ahead, what are some of your goals and milestones for the rest of 2016? And let's go there.
Yeah, the two main milestones that we have right now are to build this prototype and fly it within a couple of years, and to begin taking orders for the aircraft later this year. In the aircraft industry and some other industries, it's very common when you have an advanced time period before the actual deliveries of the product. People want to get their place in line, and so they sign up, put a deposit down, sign up. It'll be non-binding in the early years, but then it will become a binding contract as we get closer to actually delivering the aircraft. But those are our two first milestones in the near term, the prototype and getting orders to establish the credibility and validate the demand for this aircraft.
So David, where can our audience go and get more information about XTI Aircraft Company?
Yes, as I mentioned, we're on the Start Engine platform for the investment in the Reg A Plus equity crowdfunding. So it's startengine/XTI gets you to that website. And then the XTIaircraft.com website is about the company.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN Live, and we've been broadcasting live from our studios in Los Angeles, California. Again, with me has been David Brody, the chairman and founder of XTI Aircraft Company, a private company. David, thank you so much for coming on to the program.
Thank you for having me.